In this video, we're going to create some queries together. First, in your database, go to Create, and we're going to use the Query Wizard. We're going to do the first one is a crosstab query. So go to Crosstab Query Wizard. First thing we need to do is select the table that's going to have the fields we need for the column. So select the customer table. In the column, we want the state. Hit Next. Then we're going to have to select the header, which is actually going to be the sales rep. Next. And then we're going to have amount paid, and we're going to use the sum and the crosstab. Hit Next. This is actually going to be called state. Sales rep crosstab. Hit Finished, and you've created your crosstab query. Close it. Next, we're going to create query 2. Go to the Query Wizard. This time, Simple Query Wizard. We're going to select the customer table again. This time, we want the number, name. We want the amount paid. And we want the state. Okay, you're going to go Next. Next. And this one is going to be called, it is Lab 2-1, and it is query number 2. Okay, hit Finish, and you have the query. But now we need to add some criteria. So we'll go to the Design View. And in the Design View, under the amount paid, in the row called Criteria, if you look right there, follow it along, Criteria, you're going to do greater than 1,000 because you want all the customers that have paid more than 1,000 from the state of Virginia. Click out. You'll notice double quotes went across the Virginia. So before and after, you have the double quotes. And the reason for that is it's a literal string, meaning it will give you exactly what's between those quote marks. It doesn't do that for numbers because numbers can be calculated. And so it didn't put any there, and that's correct. Now let's run it. And you have 2 customers that have paid more than $1,000, and they're from the state of Virginia. Close it, save it, and we can go to the next query. Our next query is going to be query 3. Query 3, we're going to use the Query Wizard again. Simple. We're going to pick the customer table. From the customer table, we're going to pick the number, name. We're going to pick the street. We're going to pick the city. Okay, we're going to hit Next, and we're going to call this one. It's going to be the Lab 2-1. So Lab 2-1, and it's query number 3. And hit Finish. Now, we're going to go back to the design again because in this one, we actually want all the customers that start with the letter T. So under Criteria, we're going to do that by using the like operator. We put a capital T and an asterisk. And the asterisk will tell it that is a wildcard, and it will tell it to have any letters that after the T so that it knows it's just the starting letter. Click out. You'll notice it puts quote marks around it. The other thing about the wildcard is that you could have put it in front of it and it would give you names that end in T, or you could have put it before and after and it would have gave you any names that had T in it anywhere. Let's run it. And we have 2 customers that start with the letter T. This is correct. Let's close our query and save it. Okay, we're going to create another query. So we're going to go to our Query Wizard, and this time we're going to pick complete query number 5. So Simple Query Wizard. we're going to pick the customer table again. The customer table, we're going to do number, name, and balance. So number, name, go down to balance. We're going to do amount paid, and we're also going to put that city in there. Next, next, and this one is going to be called Lab 2-1, and this is query number 5. Hit finish, go to the design view, and in this query, we're going to make what's called a parameter query. And we're going to do that by going to the criteria. We're going to add a square bracket, and we're going to have enter a city and another square bracket. And what this tells Access is that it needs a parameter to be able to query for, and so it allows a lot of flexibility that way. Let's run it, and you'll see it pops up a box here that lets us enter any city. So we're going to enter Ashton and click OK, and it gives us the cities of Ashton, and there's our customers that live there. Okay, go ahead and close that one and save it. All right, we're going to create another query. All right, our next query is query 7. And in query 7, we are going to have 2 tables. Now, this is important. When you get 2 tables, to do a query, you need a relationship, because if you don't have a relationship between the tables, what Access does by default is it puts every combination together, and it will give you all these records combined, and it won't be accurate. So having a relationship is very important between the tables, and that's why these are called relational databases. So we need to build the relationship between our 2 tables. So we're going to do that by going to the database tools, and we're going to click on relationships. And you'll notice that in this database, I have 2 tables with a relationship built between the 2 tables. Now, when you go into yours, you won't have anything there. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these 2 tables to show you how you can create your own. So when you have this box, when you click on the relationships in the database tools, you're going to have this box pop up. And if you accidentally close it, you can go up here onto the ribbon and click Show Tables, and that would turn it on and off. Now, we need to put these 2 tables on there, just like you saw when I opened it, okay, and then hit Close. Now, it knew from before that I wanted to have a relationship here, but if it does not have a relationship, you can put one in. So if this is a brand new database, you can create your relationship by just taking the common fields between the 2. So I'm going to take in the sales rep table, I have sales rep number, and in the customer table, I have sales rep number. I can drag it over and drop it right on top of that sales rep number, and then I can hit create. Now you'll notice right now, it doesn't have anything but the little line. So what it does is it gives me all the records that are equal. But in this particular query, I actually want all the records for sales rep, and then I want to have the customer information. But if I want to make sure that I include the sales reps that may not have any customer information, I have to make a relationship that will allow that. And I can do that by double clicking on this line. When I double click, I make sure these 2 are equal, which they are, and then I can click on Join Type. Now, for all the records from sales rep to show, I would have to go to number 2, because if you see in here, it says sales rep, and only those records from customer where they are equal. So this will give me all the sales reps and the customers for those sales reps. Click OK, and you'll see that now I have the line again, but this time it does have a little arrow on the end showing that it will give me all the sales reps and the customers that goes with the sales reps. Go ahead and close it, save it, and now we can create our next query. Go to Create, Query Wizard, Simple Query Wizard, and in this one, we're going to pick first from the sales rep table, and we're going to pick number and name from the sales rep table. So I'm going to go down to sales rep, and I'm going to go with number, and I'm going with first name, and I'm going with last name, and then I'm going to customer number. So I got to drop the box down and pick customer table to get the customer number, the customer name, and the balance. I can hit next, and this query is called Lab 2-1 query number 7. Hit finish, and I now have the records. And you'll notice at the bottom here that this particular sales rep does not have a customer yet, and it shows up only because of that particular type of relationship. All right, let's close it, and then we're going to go to our next query. Our next query is query number 8. Query number 8, we're going to do, again, the query wizard. We're going to select the customer table. From the customer table, we're going to have number, name, balance, amount paid, and we're going to go ahead and hit next, and then we're going to hit next, and this one is going to be Lab 2-1 query number 8. Now, one of the things with this query is that I needed the total amount, and it's not available in the fields that I have to select from. So to be able to do that, I have to do what's called a calculated field. So I'm going to go into the design view to do that. And you'll notice right down here in this last column, I'm going to create my own. So I'm going to click into it, and I'm going to put in total amount, because that's going to be the name of my actual column. And then I have to put a colon. Now that colon is real important, because if I don't put the colon, it doesn't know that that's going to be the name of the column. And that's how Access determines that. And then I put the square bracket. I put in the amount paid, square bracket again, and then I'm going to add the balance, square bracket, and I put in balance. Now it's real important that you spell things right, because if you don't spell it right, it will give you an error. So like if I had misspelled balance, then I would get an error. So it's important that I spell it just like what is in the table. Okay, and if I do spell everything right and I have to check this little box so it'll be seen, I can run it, and I do have the total amount now, and I have a calculated column. Go ahead, save it. I want you to go to create again. Now, this time for query number 9, we're going to do it a little different just so you can see how you don't always have to use the wizard. You can actually click on query design, and it will pop up this little show table like we used in the relationship window. And in this case, I just want to use the customer table, and I just want one thing. I want to get the average of the balances. So if I go down and I find in here the balance and double click, it will put that in there for me. And it doesn't have anywhere for me to pick average in here. To do that, I have to go up here onto the ribbon, click on totals, and you'll see group by. Click on that and drop it down and choose average. And once you do that, then you'll get the average balance by clicking run, and that is the average balance for customers. Go ahead, save it, name it Lab 2-1 query number 9, and we've completed our queries.